So the project itself contains two different types of loading screens. The first is an XR loading screen and the second is a desktop loading screen. I'll cover the desktop loading screen in a separate video because the XR loading screen is going to take a little bit of explaining. So for the XR loading screen, the way that I set that up is actually through a custom function. So Blueprint function library loading screens. And if we open this up, you'll see that we have a show XR loading screen and a remove XR loading screen if we need it. So show XR loading screen basically clears all existing splash screens, and then we get a data table filled with images. So in this case, I wasn't too sure what images I wanted, so I created a data table inside of our blueprints. It's called loading screen content. And you'll see if I open this up, I've got a couple of images that fill in and populate to do the level. So if you don't want to change it around and you just want a background color, a main image, text, and then rotate icons, you can fill this in and do it as you wish. Or you could go into the struct and add some more. So in our loading screen, you'll see that we add splash screen, we add it, and then at the very end, once we've added all of those, we show it. And just so you know, this one here, the one at the very end, is the rotating one. And we have the delta rotation, so it rotates at 3. So with that done, we can now call this function from any actor and any blueprint. So it's up to you how you do this. But one example I have for this is in our VR template, we have our VR game instance. And this starts when the game begins. So as soon as we launch the game, our game instance kicks in. And you see here we've got an event initialize. So as soon as we initialize, we delay for 0.2 seconds. You can change this. And then we show our loading screen through that function. Once it starts, it waits for our player to spawn. And then in our VR pawn, we go to the event graph and we find a begin play right at the top here. You'll see that we have towards the end, once we've set everything all up, we have a remove loading screen function. So we delay, we remove the loading screen, we delay again, and then we call the screen fade, which will be its own video. But that's pretty much how you add these in. So let's say we have a blueprint. I don't think this one's set up, but level load. We can actually have overlap. And then we can say once we overlap by the player, we call show XR loading screen. And now once we hit that, it's going to show our loading screen for us. And then once the level loads, however you want to do it, you could do open level. So open level by name. And then your loading screen will stay on. And as soon as your player loads into your new level, so this pawn, it would then repeat this process here and remove the loading screen. So you kind of see how that show loading screen function can be used for anything. But you can also add on to this if you want to and have it do what you need. So in the loading screens, we have our data table. You can remove this completely. If you don't want the loading screen, you can see here we can just choose our textures. This might be the easier way to go for you. But in this case, we've just got our loading screen fed in through a data table because I was unsure what I wanted. So that's pretty much it for the loading screen. And I believe actually it's also called inside of our UMG. So our UMG for restart, if I remember correctly. So we don't actually have it on here. So loading button, we would then have show XR loading screen. And now when we start this game, it'll show the loading screen and then it'll restart. Excellent. So that's it for loading.